Welcome to New York's number 2 sports show. The New York Rangers are now atop the NHL standings. They defeat the Boston Bruins by a score of 7-4 in a very impressive showing. Both teams came off of matinee games yesterday. Bruins lost to the Red Wings, Rangers beat the Flyers, and today the Rangers were the better team. No question about it. And what this team is doing is just awfully impressive. They're 15-3-1, so it's 31 points in 19 games. They are on such a great run right now, and this is without Adam Fox. This is without Philip Hedl. This is without Igor Shesterkin really doing anything of true note, to be honest. I mean, not to take anything away from him, and obviously yesterday he was a pretty big factor in their win, but today Jonathan Quick was in net, and Quick wasn't great, but wasn't bad either. He was pretty tested, and the Rangers at times, there was many different instances when I thought, all right, like this game could get away from them. Bruins tied it up on a couple of different occasions, and the Rangers just stuck with it. And they've been a great third period team. That was evident again. Got contributions all over the lineup. Chris Kreider gets 2 goals and an assist, had a chance to get a hat trick in this game. So he's up to 13 goals. Jimmy Vesey has been really good lately. He had a goal and an assist, and his goal gave the Rangers a lead in which they would not relinquish. You have the first goal as a Ranger for Nick Bonino and Tyler Pitlick. So the fourth line, not only doing well, and as I said yesterday, right? Sometimes it's a precursor. I thought they played a really good game yesterday. Didn't have anything to show for it, as far as offensively. But today that did happen. And yeah, like Keandre Miller had a really nice goal. He gets, the game-winning goal. And I thought that Miller-Trouba pair was just very, very strong all game long. Pastrnak was very much dangerous for Boston, but Brad Marchand, not really so much. Was he on the score sheet at all even? No. And when you can, hold him down, you're going to be in good shape. I didn't think Linus Ullmark played all that well for Boston. I'm not sure how Bruins fans feel about that, but, obviously 7 goals goes without saying. But a lot of them, I felt like were fairly leaky. And, that was part of it. But the Rangers unequivocally were the better team in this game. And it's an exciting time to be a Ranger fan, right? And again, it's, we're just past Thanksgiving. And so, you're about a little bit less than a quarter of the way through the season, a ways to go, but you gotta like what you see again. And let's just leave it let's forget about Hedl for a second. And let's just leave it to Adam Fox. He's been out now for a little less than a month, and they're just winning games left and right. It's really remarkable. And they're building up such a nice lead, in the division. But in the Eastern Conference, let's just see, push comes to shove, I don't know. As far as, who will be first, the Bruins or the Rangers, and other teams could easily emerge. That's the thing. But for now, this was a battle of the NHL's best, and the Rangers came out victorious. And indecisive fashion as well. Weren't that many penalties in this game. A lot of stoppages. This was it was a very exciting game, but a slow moving game as well. But Artemi Panarin gets back on the score sheet, which was good. Even though I actually didn't think he played all that well. And so he gets a couple of points, Panarin. And Lafreniere doesn't get any, but I thought, again, he looked great. He's been so snake-bitten in terms of assists. I think he only has 4. Let me see. I think it's only 4 assists in the season, which is just crazy because he has been so good at setting his teammates up. But I thought that his game was really good. And, in terms of ice time, the distribution wasn't as lopsided as yesterday. And probably in part because the Rangers were able to take a big lead that they were more comfortable using, let's say, Jones and Schneider later on. But in particular, on the defense, again, I thought that Miller-Trouba pair was especially strong. Gustafsson didn't have his best game, had some turnovers. I thought that he was, not amazing. But yeah, looking at the forward lines, they were rolling all four lines. They were. And again, that fourth line, I thought Barclay Goodrow had a really good game today. And I can't always say that with him this season, but I thought he was really good. So when Chytil comes back, it's going to cause some interesting decisions, but there's no need to rush him back. There's no need to rush him back. But when he comes back and they're still healthy, I don't know what they do. Because you can't, this fourth line, you can't really mess with it. But Nick Bonino, like, you're not going to healthy scratch him. I don't know. It's going to lead to some, again, you know, the default could always be, we'll just scratch Pitlick. That could be, but I don't think that's deserved. He helps that fourth line, brings some speed to it. Like, I really think he's a major reason why that fourth line has gotten better. Part of it is you take Bonino off, but I think more of it is to do with Pitlick being on. And so, it'll just lead to some interesting decisions, but good problems to have. So let's get into it. Rangers jump out to an early lead, and that's been a thing for the Rangers. They take the lead. What was the stat? In at least 14 of the 19 games, it might have been 15. Like maybe about 15 of their 19 games they've scored first. And so Nick Bonino scores unassisted at 5:58. And this was, again, a goal for me that Ullmark, I think, should have stopped. I believe it was unassisted. I think there might have been a turnover, and Bonino just sort of takes a wrist shot and he scores, and he gives Rangers a 1-0 lead. Then the Bruins take a penalty at 10-10. Grzelcyk hooks Mika Zibanejad. So Zibanejad continues his good play. And then at 10:56, Chris Kreider scores on the power play right in front of the net. His 12th goal of the season from Trocheck and Gustafsson. So this is a shot from the point by Gustafsson, deflected by Trocheck, and that deflection made it so that Ullmark wasn't able to handle it cleanly, and so the puck is loose and Kreider easily buries it to give the Rangers a 2-0 lead. But Boston, and Jim Montgomery calls a good timeout at this point, Boston responds to it well. Charlie Coyle scores his 8th goal of the season from Frederick and Van Riemsdyk at this point. I'm trying to think. So he scores that goal, and there was a bad play. There was so many goals that it gets all lumped in together. Morgan Geekie scores right after that as well at 14-14 from Lauko and Forbert. But yeah, in trying to think about it, someone made a bad, I think Trocheck. Yeah. So Trocheck was on the Coyle goal. Makes a bad turnover in the offensive zone, and Coyle beats him to it. Also, Lindgren kind of gets caught up ice, and Gustafsson goes down. So kind of a combination of things, and it leads to a goal by Coyle. Then the Geekie goal, trying to think if there was anyone to blame on that one. That was a good shot. That was a pretty good shot by Geekie. I'm not sure if Jonathan Quick saw the puck. And by the way, this goes without saying, but as we expected, with Shesterkin playing yesterday, Quick was in net today. Again, that to me, which was very clear. Once we knew that Quick was the goalie versus Pittsburgh, you could tell that was going to be how it would line up. So it makes it 2-2, and then Laviolette calls a timeout. And that's a good thing. Would Gerard Gallant ever do that the last 2 seasons? No way. No way. He wouldn't do it if they were down 2-0. He sure as hell wouldn't do it if it was a 2-2 game. So at that point, it's 2-2. And then in 1826, Gustafsson hooks Pavel Zacha. But the Rangers score shorthanded, and again, it's Chris Kreider. Kreider goes in on a breakaway, scores his 2nd of the game, 13th of the season, assisted by Trouba. Really nice pass by Jacob Trouba. Right on the tape of Kreider, he goes in and he scores. And the Rangers have a 3-2 lead going in to the second period. Now, in the second period, keep in mind, you still have that power play with not much time left. And so so it ends up going down as a power play goal, which is unfortunate because the penalty kill has been so good lately. But in the dying moments, it's a goal by David Pastrnak. His 13th goal of the season from Zacha. This is a play where the Rangers had some trouble getting out of the zone. Zibanejad wasn't able to. And then Trouba got too aggressive. Trouba moves up, and it leaves Pastrnak all alone. And not a great goal by Quick. Quick was fooled. I think he thought Pastrnak was maybe going to pass it. He ends up kind of deking him out and shoots it, and it goes right through Quick. right through him. And so that ties it up at 3. Then things kind of settled down for a while, but there were some penalties as well. Yeah. At 4:45, Danton Heinen is called for goalie interference. But then 18 seconds later, Trocheck hooks Charlie Coyle. Then at 8:39, too many men on the ice penalty on the Rangers. Again, that's been an issue for them, but they kill it off. And then the Rangers score a really, really nice goal. And it was 6-on-5 for a while. So Jimmy Vesey is high-sticked by, who was it? Ian Mitchell. And it's actually it would have been a double minor because he was bleeding. The Rangers had the puck for a while. They were in the middle of a line change, and Panarin's the extra attacker. But in the end, Jimmy Vesey, who drew the penalty, and again, he was bleeding, scores his 4th goal of the season from Trocheck and Panarin. Really great effort by the Rangers on this goal. Just great puck movement. Awesome stuff. And then the Rangers still had that power play. So instead of a 4-minute power play, it then became a 2-minute power play. But that power play wasn't a good one for the Rangers. But before the period is out, at 19:36, Keandre Miller scores his 2nd goal of the season from Zibanejad and Kreider. And this would go down as the game-winning goal. Miller with an unbelievable shot and a great pass by Zibanejad to find Miller streaking in from behind. And he just lasered it past Ullmark. And that was to give the Rangers a 2-goal lead was really, really important. So the Rangers are up 5-3 going into the third. And in the third, right away at 1:26, Tyler Pitlick gets his first goal as a Ranger, assisted by Vesey and Goodrow. So they win the faceoff. Goodrow wins it. Eventually, a really nice pass from Vesey to Pitlick, and he scores. And it makes it 6-3. However, a little more than a minute after that, Charlie Coyle scores his 2nd goal of the game. His 9th goal of the season from Van Riemsdyk and Geekie. So a quick response makes it 6-4. But then the Rangers, less than 2 minutes after that, they score. It's Artemi Panarin with his 11th goal of the season from Schneider and Jones. Really nice pass by Schneider, cross ice to Panarin, who kind of had an open net, and scores. Rangers take a 7-4 lead, and they would continue to have a really strong third, like a great period. They would outshoot the Bruins 17-9 in that period, and they win 7-4. And this is a Bruin team. Bruins and Rangers are the 2 best teams in terms of goal prevention. Goals against, they don't allow that many goals. And so for the Rangers to get 7 after Boston struggled yesterday, very, very impressive. Look, they spent Thanksgiving away from home. They went from Pittsburgh to Philly. And so the scheduling was weird here. You come back home and, with that, it's kind of like relief. But no, they stuck with it all the way. Like, I just think that their stick-to-itiveness was very, very impressive. And you really should be proud as a Ranger fan currently. So now, coming up, they'll face the Buffalo Sabres. Home against Buffalo will be Monday. So it's interesting. Let's talk about maybe the next 3 games. Buffalo is the next one. I'm worried about a letdown game there. But the Rangers, even when they're not playing their best, they still find ways to get points and wins. So the Rangers had still one of their best games of the season. That opening night game against Buffalo was a clinic. So there's that. Then the next game, they played Detroit, who the Rangers also played really well against, at least for those first 2 periods. So that's another familiar foe. And then Nashville, actually. So another chance. The Rangers got their revenge versus Minnesota. They got their revenge versus Columbus. And now they'll be looking to maybe exact some revenge against Nashville, going to Nashville. And that'll be a week from now. So somewhat of a light schedule coming up, but not anything crazy. Kind of normal, right? Where they are basically playing every other day, although in between Detroit and Nashville, there's a couple of days off. So yeah, really, we'll focus more on the next 2 games, which are home against Buffalo and Detroit. And yeah, I mean, hopefully they can keep this up. Adam Fox is eligible to return for the Detroit game. So we'll see. Just because he's eligible to return doesn't necessarily mean he'll be right back in there. You would think he would be if he's good to go. He definitely will be. But he will be out still versus Buffalo at the very least. And for Hedl, sounds like he's making progress, but I don't really expect him to come back in the interim. I think that why rush it? They're in a position where they have the luxury where they don't need to. Let him get better. These concussions are obviously very serious, and he's had a history of them. So they're in a very, very good spot right now. And it would be easy for them to, hey, kind of go on cruise control at some point and kind of have lulls. But Laviolette and the coaching staff has this team ready to go, game in, game out. Like, this is as good as it's been, for the Rangers in quite some time. They're really in good hands. Not to say that there's things that they need to work on, because there are. There definitely are. You could see some holes here and there, but this was great. And so now the New York Rangers sit at number one, whether, as we speak, whether that be in points, whether it be by points percentage, because when the night is up, they may not have the most points in the league, but they will have the best points percentage. 15-3-1, 19 games, 31 points. And hey, the schedule hasn't been overly difficult, in my opinion, but it has been in the sense that they've only had 7 home games and 12 road games. And think about some of the trips they've had. So, like, just the way the schedule has broken out has not been easy. Opponents-wise, I don't think it's been overly challenging. But again, you just beat Boston, who had been the best team in the league going into this. So the Rangers' point percentage is .816, which is insane. Like, that's just that's not normal. But look, there's other teams that are not too far. Of course, Boston. Vegas, the LA Kings have been really good too. So it's just a fun thing to kind of keep track of. But all the stats you look at across the board are just very impressive, special teams wise. One thing that had been hurting them was 5-on-5 offense, and even that's been better lately. So yeah, like, they should definitely feel good about themselves, rest up, and they'll be having Buffalo come to town. And Buffalo tonight will be playing against the New Jersey Devils, a struggling Devil team. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. But again, Boston Bruins come to town. They were in first place in the NHL. They're not anymore. The New York Rangers are. They beat the Bruins 7-4.